Yo, what is up, guys? It's Cohen back here again today with another video. The NBA has just officially announced that Nikola Jokic is the 2021 most valuable player. It's incredible to see. I'm really happy for Jokic. It's something that we've known is coming for a little while, about a month and a half, 2 months now that we've known Jokic was going to win the MVP award. For the better half of a season, we really thought he was going to win it. He's been the front runner for almost the whole time, and it's just really cool to see him win this award now officially. And now that he's officially won it, I want to make a video talking about why he deserved it, talking a little bit about why I think this is so good for basketball, why it's so cool that Jokic in particular won the award. And I'll get into all of that in terms of the basketball, the more worldwide aspect in a second. But like I just said, I want to focus on why it's so cool that Jokic in particular has won an MVP award. So, Nikola Jokic was drafted 41st overall in the NBA draft by the Denver Nuggets. And now you may be thinking to yourself, wow, 41st overall, that's really low, isn't it? It's really crazy that an MVP winner won at the 41st overall pick. Is that some kind of record, Cone? Yes, it is. Nikola Jokic is the first ever second round pick and the lowest drafted player ever to win MVP. The current record, or the record that has now been broken, was held by Giannis Antetokounmpo and Steve Nash, tied at the 15th overall pick in their respective drafts, which is funny because they're playing right now in the second round of the NBA playoffs. So he was picked very, very far beneath them, 26 picks lower than the previous two winners. That's crazy. That's incredible. And not only that, but Nikola Jokic, when they aired him being drafted, they announced the pick that, the Denver Nuggets with the 41st overall selection have taken Nikola Jokic out of Serbia. They announced him during a Taco Bell commercial. I'm not joking. His draft pick, you can definitely find it on Twitter because a lot of people have been tweeting out the picture, but there's a Taco Bell commercial airing on the screen, and at the bottom it says, the pick is in Nikola Jokic, Denver Nuggets, whatever. That's incredible. To come from such humble beginnings to win an MVP award at still a pretty young age, it's not even like he's 30 or anything like that. I believe he's 26. To win an MVP award at this age, it's incredible. And I'm super happy for him, not only because of those super unique and humble circumstances, but because he's one of the most unique players we've ever seen. The last center to win an MVP was Shaquille O'Neal, and that was 20 years ago. So it's been a really long time. And the center position for a little while, people have been talking about how it's dying. We saw the Rockets last season try to just completely eliminate the center position from their team. And now we have probably the top two finalists. I'm guessing Embiid is probably going to finish second. He might finish third behind Steph Curry, but he might finish second. Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid are two of the top however many guys winning this award. That's cool to see. It's cool to see two very different centers that excel in very different ways, with Nikola Jokic being probably the best playmaker. He is. I'm not going to say probably. He is the best playmaking center we've ever seen. He shoots threes over guys. He goes into the post. Him and Joel Embiid have kind of similar games, but at the same time are also very different players. It's just cool to see two very different, but also somewhat similar centers dominating at the position and becoming MVP finalists. That's awesome. That's awesome for the league and for the future of the center position, because now guys are going to look at Nikola Jokic and say, that's what I want to make my game after. And if I get to see more players like Jokic, guys that can pass the ball full court if they want to, shoot threes from deep as hell at the center position, Jokic is the future of the NBA center. And now guys are going to get to model their games after him. It's really cool to see as a basketball fan, and I'm really looking forward to the next generation of big men that come in, look at Jokic and say, I want to be like him. Because traditionally, the center was nowhere near what Nikola Jokic is today. If you look at the last center to win it in Shaquille O'Neal, he was nothing like Jokic. They were complete opposites. Shaq wasn't that much of a playmaker. He was a dominant, super physical inside force. And Nikola Jokic kind of looks like your uncle at the barbecue after he had too many plates to eat. He's a bigger guy, but he's a little bit slower. He looks like he's clumsy despite being really finesse based. It's really surreal. You just have to watch him play. If you've watched him play a lot like I have, you know exactly what I'm saying. He hits fadeaways over guys in the post, and it looks like he's wearing flip-flops. It looks like he's stumbling over himself. He turns around, hits a one-armed jumper over whoever is guarding him. Doesn't matter who's there. Nikola Jokic is one of, if not the most unique player we've ever seen in the history of the NBA, especially at that center position. And so that's why it's so cool to see him win the MVP. It's cool to see something different. Like I said, it's cool to see a center winning MVP because it hasn't happened in so long. And so it's so cool to see someone like Nikola Jokic, who we've never seen in the history of the NBA, there have been guys that have been kind of similar. Maybe we could talk about like an Arvydas Sabonis type guy, Wilt Chamberlain in terms of kind of some playmaking type stuff, but there's never been a player like Nikola Jokic. And not only that, but over the course of this season, he dominated. He was dominant. He led the Denver Nuggets in pretty much every stat you can think of. Points, rebounds, all the basic stats. Every single advanced stat you could probably ever think of, Nikola Jokic leads the team in that category. People make up stats all the time. I've seen so many people on Twitter just make stats up, and I guarantee you he leads in all those made up stats too. That's how good he was this year. And his co-star, Jamal Murray, who just came off one of the craziest, one of the hottest playoff runs we've ever seen from a player in that bubble run, averaging like 40 points per game against the Jazz, like 30 points per game against the Clippers, whatever. Jamal Murray was electric, and he missed over a third of the season. He missed 24 games. I think it was 24. He missed 24 games, which is over a third of a 72-game season, and it didn't matter. Not only that, but they're coming off a season where Mason Plumlee disappeared, Jeremy Grant disappeared, who were both big players, especially Jeremy Grant, in that playoff run. Mason Plumlee was a really solid backup center, and so Nikola Jokic losing two of his front court mates, having key injuries throughout the year to Jamal Murray, who's now out for the year, losing PJ Dozier later in the season, and losing Will Barton for most of the season, a guy who was really big for this Nuggets team in years past. And despite all of that, despite having little to no front court help, despite missing his co-star, despite missing some depth guys, Nikola Jokic carried this team to the third seed in the really, really difficult Western Conference. And when Jamal Murray went out, they didn't miss a single beat. It was like he wasn't even missing. That's how good he's been. So, when people go out there on Twitter, when you see the talking heads, the people that don't watch basketball that say that Nikola Jokic wasn't a good MVP, that he's the worst MVP ever, whatever they say, because I guarantee you there's going to be some discourse about that because the media has to make their narratives. I'm not going to call any names in particular, but that was a narrative over this whole season, was that Nikola Jokic wasn't a good MVP. He wasn't deserving. At the end of the year, there were pushes for different guys. There were people saying like, oh, Jokic only won the MVP because this guy got hurt or this guy got hurt. Even if those people were healthy, I would not have been shocked if Jokic won the MVP because he was deserving. Just no matter who played the whole season, Jokic was a deserving candidate. If like maybe Joel Embiid played the whole season, maybe does he win it? Maybe. The Sixers were the 1 seed. You could definitely think about that. But I really think it'd be a super close race, and I could still see Jokic winning. So don't be one of those people that goes out there and that says that Jokic is a bad MVP. Don't listen to the people that say that the only reason Jokic won is because other more deserving candidates got hurt. That's not true. It's just not. And if he wasn't a deserving candidate, he wouldn't have won the MVP award. So don't be one of those people. And if you see people talking like that on your Twitter timeline, just scroll past them and don't give a lot of attention to these guys that I guarantee you on like ESPN and stuff like that are going to be talking about tomorrow when they finish talking about the playoff games. They're going to start talking about, did Nikola Jokic deserve the MVP or was so-and-so robbed? And the answer is yes, he did deserve the MVP, not that someone was robbed. So those are my thoughts on Nikola Jokic. Just a dominant force, playing every single game for his team over the course of this season, which is also something we really don't see very often anymore, especially in this era of a lot of load management. It's rare that you see an MVP play every single game, and for Nikola Jokic to do that over the course of the season, really just put his body on the line, coming off of really short rest, because they played pretty deep into the bubble last season, and with the short off season, Jokic didn't miss a beat, and he just got better. Jokic deserves it. And then going back to what I said at the beginning of the video, I think this is great for basketball. Not just Jokic winning MVP, but the rise in international talent. Luka Doncic, we just saw in the first round of the playoffs, is continuing to establish himself as a superstar. He's not just a star, he is a superstar, borderline top 5 player at a very, very young age in his 3rd season in the NBA. He's another example, like Nikola Jokic, of a young international guy taking the league by storm. Another example is Giannis Antetokounmpo, a Greek player who is now a 2-time, or who since last season is a 2-time MVP and 1-time Defensive Player of the Year, trying right now to take out the almighty Brooklyn Nets. Given it isn't going very well, but he's one of the biggest stars in the NBA, winning 2 MVP awards. This is now 3 consecutive MVPs that have gone to an international player, and I don't think that trend's ending very soon. I think Luka's going to win 2 or 3. I could see some of these other guys that are coming into the league winning more. I could see Giannis winning another one. I could see Jokic winning another one. I could see Embiid winning one. There are all of these different players of international origins that are coming into the league and playing really, really well. And that's awesome. That's so good for the league, because when you look at it, I'm super passionate about basketball. I was born in America where basketball is a big deal. We have the NBA. But some of these kids that might be the next NBA greats may never start playing basketball if they don't see some players that they idolize because they're from their country or because they are an international player. Those kids may never start watching the sport, they may never get into it, and they may never become the players they could be. I guarantee you there is some kid right now in Jokic's hometown or back in his home country that watched Jokic win MVP and is now like, I want to play basketball. I want to go be the next Nikola Jokic. And I guarantee you there's going to be someone who comes from Jokic's hometown and says, I became a basketball player because I wanted to be like Nikola Jokic. That's super cool. That's awesome. It's so good for the league that a player like Jokic is winning MVP awards, that foreign-born players are winning MVP awards and becoming the next generation. And that's another thing. We are right now seeing the fall and rise of different generations. The old generation is starting to fall. LeBron James out in the first round of the playoffs. Steph Curry's not in the playoffs. Given those two players have a ton of years left, they're still really, really good top 5 players in the NBA. But we're starting to see the rise of young guys. Trae Young, John Moran, like Nikola Jokic, who I just mentioned. Luka Doncic, who I just talked about. Devin Booker. All these young guys are stepping up. Giannis even, who's not that old despite having won multiple MVP awards. He's 26 years old. The new generation is here. And not only these playoffs, but Jokic winning this MVP award is the signal of the new generation. Him and Giannis are leading the charge at this point with Luka on the way, gonna win an MVP in the next couple of seasons, I can guarantee it. And it's really cool. The league is shifting, and Nikola Jokic is an example of that. Not only in terms of winning the MVP of international players, but also just in the terms of the way the league is going. A 3-point shooting, greatest of all time playmaking center that just dominated the league this season and absolutely deserved the MVP award. So, those are my thoughts on Jokic winning MVP. Let me know what you thought about that. Everything that I said pretty much in this video. If you made it to this part, say shout out Nikola Jokic in the comment section below, just so I know that you made it to the end here. I'll make sure to like your comment. I appreciate you guys watching. I will see you guys later. Real Wednesday back.